Hello guys, Season 3 is here, and with it comes a ton of new items and mechanics. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the best tips I have from 400 hours in DMZ, and also the best way to use all the new stuff in Season 3. If anything from this video helps you, then please make sure to subscribe so I know I've done a good job, and if you think I missed anything new, just put it down in the comments below to help someone else. So, jumping straight in at number 1, we now have 2 new bags in DMZ Season 3. Scavenger bag gives you an extra 2 storage slots versus a large bag, and the secure bag lets you take items between rounds. But what if I told you there was a way to use both of these bags at the same time? Well, once you get hold of a secure bag from looting or bartering, don't put it on your character straight away. Stow it in your larger bag. You can then use the rest of your slots in your larger bag throughout the round without being limited to 5. And then when you want to finally extract, just cut yourself down to 5 items you want to take with you, put on your secure bag, and stow the large or scavenger bag inside the secure bag. This way, you always have access to more slots in raid, and you can continually use the secure bag without limiting yourself. You might want to use this whilst it lasts. In my last tips video, I went over the best looting spots to get into high loot areas without keys. They've removed some old favorites, but we've discovered some new spots instead. You can still get into Side Mall and Embassy Lift no problem, but sadly you can no longer jump in through the roof of room 302 and 303 in Sour Village. And they have also blocked off entering the control tower through the boards, which I'm pretty sad about. However, I'm sure a lot of you know that the locked crypto room is now accessible through this window in Sour. A high chance of finding a GPU. And then literally just this week, someone told me about the fact that you can climb into the quarry crane control room by just breaking the window and crouch walking through it. If you guys know of any other new loot spots that don't require keys this season, let me know down in the comments. And then another new aspect of DMZ is the private exfil chopper at every buy station in Al Mazrah. You raise 50,000 in cash and you can call in the exfil chopper at your exact location whenever you want. But one of the smartest ways to use this is to find a buy station furthest away from the radiation zone. Buy it early in the round if you can afford the money, and this exfil will now be available for you to use at any time later in the game, even if you bought it in the first 5 minutes. This exfil can also be called whilst in the gas, as long as the final exfil chopper hasn't left the map. A very good extraction strategy if you have to do a long mission. Something else I personally didn't know until recently is that they've changed the behavior of extractions now since Season 2. So even if you call an extraction chopper right as the gas washes over it, it will still always turn up now, as long as you get to it before it turns grey. This used to ruin me so many times at the beginning of DMZ, so I'm glad they changed it. And another update to the last video, the so-called Safe Gas Station for repairing and refueling vehicles just below Zaya is still empty of any AI, so you can continue to use it safely. But I have now tested several other gas stations in Al Mazrah that are almost 100% safe as well. There is a gas station south of Al Sharim Pass, which is far enough away from AI to make it safe to use. This boat refuel spot just outside Zarqwa is also far enough away from any spawns, and you can easily drive cars up to it on the bank as well. There is now another spot to the north of Hafid Port, which used to be a player spawn, but now should be empty to use safely too. And then finally, there is a semi-safe spot here below Sarif, although AI can sometimes aggro from the buildings nearby, so keep an eye out, but again, another safe spot. On the topic of safety, wouldn't you love to be able to call in an extraction chopper without getting out of the security of your vehicle? Well, now you can. Whilst in any vehicle, head towards the green smoke of an exfil chopper, and once you get closer, just slow down a small amount so you aren't at top speed, and then press your interact button 3 times quickly once you're close enough to the extraction prompt. Because entering and exiting vehicles is the same binding as interacting, you'll get out of your vehicle, call in the chopper, and immediately re-enter your vehicle without ever being stationary or in the open. We call this move on PC the EEE. This will save you at some point without a doubt. Talking of extractions, I was a little sad that they removed being able to extract on the top of the exfil chopper in Season 2. The blades will now slice you up if you're near them. But there is still a way to extract on top of the exfil even now in Season 3. You have to be very precise, but there is a small gap between the blades at the front and back of the heavy chopper. If you land between these and go prone, you can extract on top again. But this is a very risky strategy that requires a high roof, tower, or helicopter to execute, but definitely worth it as a last resort. And after extracting since Season 2, you can now store mission items between rounds when you leave. So loot such as the Legion Deal Intel, Connie laptop, and other secret documents can be picked up, extracted, and stored in your menu for later missions. But once you complete those missions, what are these quest items useful for? Well, I try and extract every mission item I can find, as once you don't need them anymore, you can bring them in to sell at the beginning of a round instead of searching for valuable loot. Almost all of them sell for more than $1,000, so definitely worth it, especially when regaining after losing your gear, just to buy a few plates off the spawn. And as for other new additions in Season 3, we now have 3 different plate vests that you can barter for at buy stations. The Stealth Vest acts as a ghost perk so you don't appear on UAVs. The Medic Vest improves reviving times and gives perks on revival. And the Comms Vest alerts you whenever enemies are nearby and improves UAVs. But what if you could use all 3 at once? Of course, you can now just simply stow the 3 plates in your bag and pick and change them whenever you feel like it. So someone's put a UAV tower up on you, put on the Ghost Vest. Moving around the map, put the Comms Vest on to get early warnings from enemies. And you're about to res a down teammate, just stick on the Medic Vest. Of course, you would have to be lucky enough to find all 3 vests, but definitely worth mixing and matching and just changing whenever you feel like. Just remember that when changing vests, the vest will drop on the floor, so just stow it in your bag when it drops out. And with Season 3 comes another huge addition to the game, is that you can now find the Heavy Chopper in Al Mazrah. You have to search for the very rare Heavy Chopper fuel, usually found on the train, but once you have it, you can simply fly the chopper to the edge of the map and extract at any time. The only problem is that the chopper fuel is usually found in the first 5 minutes, and you might want to get some missions done before extracting. So did you know that you can land the helicopters directly on water? Don't drop the helicopter from a height and slowly descend onto the surface of the water, and it will stay perfectly floating on the top of the waves. This is useful for leaving the chopper in a place that's harder for enemies to steal it. Now, I haven't tried this with the Heavy Chopper, but in theory, you could fly the Heavy Chopper to somewhere secluded on the edge of the map, land it on the water next to the map perimeter, and then when you're ready, just take a boat to the Heavy Chopper and extract, and hopefully no one sees it. Probably very risky, and people will probably steal it, but if you try this, please let me know. Now here's a little mini-map trick that I think a lot of people probably know about, but you might not be using in the right way. So when you're tracking enemy players, you might spot an enemy vehicle on the edge of your mini-map screen for a split second, but they disappear off it. But did you know that if you open your larger map, you actually get a much larger spotting area for enemy vehicles that have disappeared on your mini-map? This obviously already works for UAVs and towers when you bring up your map to see a wider area. But if you think you even saw a flash of red on your mini-map, open the larger map and you can actually see the vehicle in a wider radius and mark them as well. And up next, I have another zipline tip that's a little harder to pull off, but it might save you from roof campers. So in Al Mazrah, you can get to the roofs of the tall buildings by the zip lines, but the pesky roof rats will usually wait at the top, camp the zip lines to stop you getting them whilst you're stuck in an animation. But did you know if you time it right before the top, exit the zip line and you can grab the ledge next to the zip line, which gives you a faster climbing animation and doesn't make a noise like the top of a zip line does. They probably won't hear you coming, and you can take them down before they even realize you're there. You can even dodge mines in this way. Now, I'm sure most of you know this one, but HVT contracts are a great way to get very easy cash at the start of a round. But it took me ages to realize that HVTs will spawn regardless of whether a contract is about, so you can go around the map killing HVTs without grabbing any contracts, and you simply collect the bounty by looking at their body at close range. It's at least 6,000 cash for each person in your squad, and it's the craziest way to get cash. Another quick tip regarding gas masks: if you have a durable gas mask that's running out because you're in the gas and you want to save it between rounds, simply swap it with an available gas mask dropped from an AI or in the extract chopper, wait for the last few seconds before the exfil chopper leaves the map, and then re-equip it right before the round ends. Durable gas masks are harder to find now, so it's definitely worth a min-max. And finally, just a small tip on spawning in: when you see this screen come up, you can actually press escape or your options menu, and it will show you where you spawn 5 to 10 seconds before everyone else. It's actually really helpful for just instantly planning where you want to go. And with that, that just about covers all the new tips and tricks I've found this season so far. If anything from this video helped you, then please make sure to subscribe. And of course, if you have any tips of your own, something I've missed, let me know down in the comments. I'll be making more tips and guides for DMZ in the future, and the more likes and comments this video gets, the more people will be able to see it. But anyway, enjoying Season 3 so far, looking forward to messing around with the Heavy Chopper and doing the new quests. Love the fact that we actually have a use for random items we find in Raid, and things have value now. And I really hope that they can steer away from the paid-only advantages, as there's certainly ways they can do monetization better, and the community has made that clear. Personally, I think that the paid advantages should be the system for giving solo players advantages instead. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.